happiness, which is another thing that we keep hearing about. I wouldn't know why, not that there's anything sad or dark or weird going on in America these days, but happiness, not a political comment, happiness for any number of reasons, this need for joy keeps coming up. So I have a group of professional associates, the Legal Marketing Association, who mean the world to me, and I want to share a couple of things as preamble to my presentation. A legal marketer named Suella Pradanovic, who is from Australia. So imagine this with a wonderful Australian accent and wallaby and shrimp on the Barbie interjected. She responded to a keynote speaker we had in the spring at our annual conference, Catherine Sanderson, who wrote The Science of Happiness. Suella talks about 6 keys to being a happy professional. Stop comparing yourself. Comparison is the thief of joy, right? I don't even like getting on the scale for that reason. Get rid of bad clients. We spend so much of our life at work away from the people we choose to love. Why would we pour our energy into people who don't appreciate what we are and what we do? Show some gratitude. Nothing makes a person feel better than saying thank you and hearing thank you, but it doesn't happen until you initiate that. Scrap your key performance indicators. This one's really counterintuitive, right? We all want KPIs, we want dashboards, but what are we really measuring? Are we measuring success, or are we putting numbers together for a conversation to cover our butts, for lack of a better term? Jeff Bezos at Amazon forbids PowerPoint, right? He insists on narrative, to our storytelling friend, and measures anecdotes. That the anecdotes are where the truth in a culture and an organization lie and where the true results are. Not easy to put in a board packet, but probably the most important measure you can look at. Invest in cleaners. So Suella's point with that is, yes, I would like money, lots more vacation time, but if you send cleaners over to my house to clean my house because you appreciate the work I do so much, I will love you forever. Blame your parents. I'm sorry, my mother's watching this right now. That's not what that sounds like. Genetics and environment do affect us. So be aware of that. Don't be afraid of that. We are the product of the influences that we've had, but self-care is the solution to that. Another colleague, Heather Moore, so the hashtag be a Roy Sexton for a moment. Heather is one of my big sisters. I have a lot of them in my life, and I'm very grateful. They always kind of intervene when I'm about to go off a cliff. And Heather's one of those. Imagine Joan Crawford mixed with the fairy godmother from Cinderella. And she usually reaches out to me when I'm doing something really stupid. And often she tags me in a social media post to let me know that I did something really stupid. So I'm looking at my phone and I see notification from Heather Morse, and I'm going, oh, what did I do? And I open this thing up, and it's a blog post where she has encouraged everyone to use the hashtag #BeARoySexton. And I'm reading this thing going, okay, where's the punchline here? She's going to say, because he's insane. But what her point with that was, and it was very gratifying to me, we've known each other almost 10 years now, she put together in this post a portrait of me that I didn't know I had, a footprint that I'd created, which was sharing, engaging, being interested in other people's content and work, and sharing it authentically. Not sharing it because I want you to love me, we're in a little bit of that, but sharing it because I like it, and acknowledging the work of others, and not simply saying, hey, I did a thing, hey, I did a thing, hey, I did a thing, look at me, look at me, look at me, but really acknowledging the work of others. And so her point with that was, try to be that person who engages in it and celebrates the work we all are doing. It's a tough life. Why don't we celebrate the good about us all? So Heather wrote a piece on this keynote speaker about happiness as well, and I want to read this verbatim. Quote, I'm friends with lots of people who share my career path. I didn't set out in life to become a legal marketer. The career found me, but here I am. And one thing I can say is that our jobs are emotionally tough. On any given day, let alone week, someone in my peer group is having a really crappy day because ... well, lawyers. Sorry. We choose to work every day with people who are trained and paid to be skeptical and challenge everything. Get it in your heads and in your hearts, it is not personal. It is the nature of the beast to be challenged in our world, to have our great sound and correct advice ignored, while the same thing is said by a consultant and is brilliant. Over the years, I've been challenged on a variety of things by my attorneys. Pantone colors. A graphic in a newsletter depicting a hurricane. It's my favorite. Whether or not clients really meant it when they said they don't like when their lawyers do X, Y, or Z. And why don't you take a full brochure of services to an introductory lunch meeting? So, in conclusion, she writes, I'm a professional, damn it. I have wanted to scream pretty much every week for the past 20 years, but it's a silent scream, usually followed by lots of coffee and some online shopping. This is all to the point of introversion, in that your value on the planet is not measured by how others view you. I have another colleague, Brandy Matthey, who I was literally crying at my desk. And we do that, right? I mean, I do. You have a really tough day and you're like, man, I'm up against it and I've done everything I can. Why is this not working out? And she comes in my office and she sees that I'm about to burst into tears. She closes the door and she says, what's going on? And I talked to her for a bit. And then I have this desk that is the size of two of these tables put together from like 1963. And it's got this kind of veneer on it. And the corner of it is coming off. And every time I walk around, I snag my suit on it. So I've got Scotch tape wrapped all around the corner of my desk. And in tears, I go, see, Brandy, nobody appreciates me. I have this desk that has Scotch tape on the corner, and I don't know what to do. She's shaking her head. And she says, look, your value is not that desk. It's not what happens here. It's what you do for yourself that gives you meaning in this life. And I thought, man, that's the damn truth. Why can't I get that through my thick head? And I think that's why I share that piece about happiness. So without understanding yourself and how your personality may complement any given environment, you will struggle to find happiness. Happiness isn't a constant. Putting your needs first is. Putting your needs first will help you better help others. Remember on the plane when they say the oxygen mask drops down, put yours on first and help the person beside you? That's how life should be. Take care of yourself and you can take care of others. So it took me about 15 years, but I finally found the industry and profession that I love, most days, legal and legal marketing. But if I hadn't had an aha moment a few years prior to that, I'd be struggling mightily. Why? Wait for it. I'm giving you a song, I'm sorry. My theater friends will understand. Be nice, Roy. You have to pay a price, Roy. They like to give advice, Roy. Don't think about it twice, Roy. It's time to get to work. Art isn't easy, even when you're hot. Advancing art is easy. I'm moving. Financing it is not. A vision's just a vision if it's only in your head. If no one gets to hear it, it's as good as dead. It has to come to life. Bit by bit, putting it together. Piece by piece, working at the vision night and day. All takes time and perseverance, with a little luck along the way. Putting in a personal appearance, gathering supporters and adherents. Mapping out the songs, but in addition, harmonizing each negotiation. Balancing the part that's all musician with the part that's strictly presentation. Balancing the money with the mission. You have the perfect orchestration, even if you do have the suspicion that it's taking all your concentration. The art of making art is putting it together. Bit by bit, beat by beat, part by part, sheet by sheet, chart by chart, track by track, reel by reel, stack by stack, spiel by spiel, and that is the state of the art. This little... That self-aggrandizing moment was brought to you by Barbra Streisand and Stephen Sondheim, but... Who knows what show that song is from? Anybody? Theater friend, you know. What?
I haven't seen that one.
Ah! We have to go. Yes. Sunday in the Park with George. Sunday in the Park with George, thank you, Mary, starred Mandy Patinkin and Bernadette Peters. It's been revived a few times, most recently with Jake Gyllenhaal. It is a show about George Seurat, who was a pointillist painter. The concept of the show is that he is an artist. He's in his own head. He wants to do this work, and it is literally about the creation of that painting. If you know it, it's sort of everyone's in the park. They're sort of in profile. There's a woman with an umbrella, and those characters in the painting are characters in the show, and they slowly morph into the painting by the end of the first act. Second act is about his grandson. A big piece of the thematic. A big theme in that show, rather, is the challenge between being the introverted artist and needing the world of commerce to get to do your work, right? So what I loved when I heard you do your introductions is everyone feels like they're a little bit of everything. That's good. I don't like labels. I kind of hate that I'm giving a presentation going, introverts all do this and introverts all do that. I don't necessarily believe that. But I think if we understand who we are and what we are, and those challenges, the scotch tape on the desk, that seem to undermine our ability to do our best work, we can overcome them. And we can't rely on somebody else to do that for us. And that's what happens in that show, and that's what that song to me is about. And it goes on for 8 minutes. I saved you a lot of it, but it is about, I think another lyric is link by link, making the connections, drink by drink, taking every comment as it comes. You know, you're there going, oh, I know what I need to do, but I have to use people to get it done. I don't wanna, you know? I just wanna do my thing. Why do I have to sell it? But that's life. We're in business. So that's why I offer that. So here's the definition of introversion from Psychology Today. If a crowded cocktail party feels like holding a holding cell to you, even as you gamely keep up your end of the chatter, chances are you're an introvert. Introverts are drained by social encounters and energized by solitary, often creative pursuits. Their disposition is frequently misconstrued as shyness, social phobia, or even avoidant personality disorder. But many introverts socialize easily, they just strongly prefer not to. In fact, the self-styled introvert can be more empathetic and interpersonally connected than his or her outgoing counterparts. The line between introversion and lonely gets blurry, however, as some introverts do wish they could break out of their shells. So I'm not shy, obviously, yet I avoid situations with crowds, and especially new audiences. Why? Things like this help me. Why did I bring my own podium like a crazy person? Lugging it out of my car. I don't say it. Because it gives me a home base. If you notice, I'm like, don't go too far. Oh, okay. I'm here. Oh, but not it over. And notes. And I wish I could let that go, but it gives me a sense of safety. That in this crowd of very friendly people, where I still feel nervous as hell, even though I do theater, I do this stuff all the time. I'm doing something new. I haven't done this before. So this helps me. But the way I came to that was I went through these testing things in that nature, and I'm an only child. I like to make people laugh because it keeps people from beating me up, and that's how I find my peace in crowds of people. But I'm always drained and I'm irritable if I don't have enough alone time, as my husband will tell you. So what's up with that? Now, in addition, I love performing and being a ham. Did you notice? I have a theater background, and I've used it to talk my way into jobs I'm not qualified to have. Kate will tell you. I worked at Deloitte. I was in healthcare for a long time. Although there are a lot of people in healthcare. I'm sorry. Legal marketing, and then different board positions. And I have an MBA too, Sarah. But the theater degree has been my most valuable. So I must be an extrovert. I love being coached. I crave feedback and direction, validation. Totally an extrovert. Look at me, I'm singing at 8 a.m. in a room full of mostly strangers. Big old extrovert. But how many times do we hear that good marketing and business development people know how to work the room? And do those of us who don't like doing that feel judged when that's not our predisposition? You know what? I don't wanna. I don't have to. As the great Casey Musgrave sings, follow your arrow wherever it points. Love her. So I will be completely drained after this. You probably will be too. But I'll be gratified. I'll be happy. I will have had an accomplishment. And hopefully I'll be leaving with new friends. My request to all of you is find me on LinkedIn. Send me a request, please. It's not that I'm not social, and it's not that I don't crave companionship. It's just it has a different effect on my energy level. So let's be clear about that. Introversion and extroversion are not, there's not a plus or minus to those. We've put that on it. We've decided introverts are shy, extroverts are bold. No, we just get energy from different places. And it manifests itself symptomatically sometimes in things that appear to be shyness. So why theater? Why the heck am I doing theater? Why are we doing theater? Why do you think? I so love there's a theater person. Can I pick on you for a minute? You said you're introverted, right? To a degree, yes? You're a little both?
Depends on the social situation.
Yeah, right, okay. You've taught yourself different. But why do you do theater? Stand up, it's okay.
I love theater.
What was your name? Chanel?
Chanel.
Why do you do theater?
I love to perform.
But why? Why do you think you love to perform? I don't mean it. My poor camera person over there is doing it all. Yes, Chanel, why do you like to do theater?
I
We're
love
on
to
camera.
do theater because
If you peel back the onion a little bit, what's an aspect of theater you like the most?
embodying myself with a different character and a different
Okay,
persona.
me too. Kind of escaping into a role. Now let me offer my perspective, and you let me know if you agree with it. My energy level leaches in unpredictable, crowded, super social environments. Theater, we rehearse in a small and tight group of lovely weirdos. Weeks on end. There's a script. There's a director. We are told what to do, what will work, what won't. There is a structure, there is discipline, there is safety in that. We perform for hopefully huge crowds, safely ensconced out there. Lights in our eyes, so we can't really see them. And we have some small pleasant chatter after it's over, but we have excuses. Have to get my makeup off, have to change my costume. Oh, terribly, terribly busy. Oh, thank you so much. I'll see you on Facebook. Bye. There's always an excuse to leave. It's an activity that feeds my intellectual curiosity, requires isolation to learn my lines, keeps people at a controlled and safe distance. Is that fair?
That's absolutely true.
Yeah! I'm done. All right. Be in the kitchen. So what I learned from theater and the tips that taught me to be successful in a field often dominated by extroverts, I ended up in marketing, legal marketing no less, healthcare before that, so I seem to specialize in things nobody wants. I'm going to try casket sales next, but it's good, that worked. Not by design. I was in strategic planning, consulting, turnaround planning initially. Limited controlled interaction, data-driven, process-oriented. And then I had this wonderful boss. If anyone knows Mary Zatina, I bet somebody in this room knows Mary Zatina. She's sort of my template for how to be connected. Oh, she's your boss! She was my boss once. She probably is glad I'm gone. But she pushed me into this world of marketing to fix a marketing team back in 2011 at Oakwood that had alienated pretty much everyone in a 10,000 employee health system. But she saw that what I had done with my strategic planning group was create a consulting team, all introverts, who knew how to engage, who knew how to provide analysis, who knew how to be helpful. And she wanted to see some of that in the marketing team. So I did that for a while, and then I did grow tired of healthcare. It's a wonderful industry full of wonderful, wonderful people. I joke, but it's a very bureaucratic industry. It's hard to get things done. So I wanted to go to the world where decisions are made at lightning speed, legal. And I didn't just go to any law. I went to a foreclosure law firm first to market them. Dave Trott. Really mad. So this gay liberal from Ann Arbor went to work for a soon-to-be Republican congressman who had built an empire around foreclosure. Is there a speeding train I can throw myself in front of? But through that, I found people like me, this legal marketing association I mentioned. People who are social enough to find the science of affecting purchasing decisions interesting, but inward-focused enough to be lawyer whisperers. First few times I was with them, though, and here's where you'll get some tips. I was intimidated. I felt like I was in the 8th grade all over again. Which lunch table should I sit at? What do I wear? They seem so fancy, so mature. They have pocket squares. So accomplished, so well-dressed. But then the good parts of being an introvert kicked in. I studied, I observed, I watched. I knew they were my people, but I didn't know how to overcome my discomfort and uncertainty to engage. So what did I do? And I've repeated this over and over. It's how Brenda and I met. It's how I've met many of you in the room. It's how I've gotten onto some boards and done some other things. This little recipe worked so well. I'm on the board with the Legal Marketing Association. I go there regularly. These people will go to the mat for me. But initially, I felt like they didn't want to wipe their shoe on me. And I did that to myself. Let's be clear. I did that to myself. That wasn't them. They wanted me to be part of their world. Who doesn't? We're nice people mostly. But we put this template, this junior high, I got picked last for dodgeball thing on the new group of people. And I hate that I do that. I do it over and over. I'm like, Roy, stop it. People like you mostly, so just don't do this to yourself. But it doesn't matter. So what did I do? I dressed the part first and foremost. It's my theater training. I saw what people were wearing, and I used to go to conferences, my friend Blaine Fowler has this cute video right now. He and Lauren went to Chicago for a conference, and she packed like a reasonable person. And he has a backpack with one rumpled pair of khakis and a rumpled polo, and he's presenting. And she's like, "What are you doing?" And that's how I used to pack, because I didn't want to carry a lot in the airport. But then I got to the event, and I was so self-conscious. I didn't have the right clothes, I didn't have the right costumes. Do that first. It's not hard. I shop at Kohl's. I don't buy fancy stuff. I love Kohl's Cash. But make yourself look good. Leverage social media. Brenda mentioned this. Make virtual friends on LinkedIn and Facebook and wherever you're comfortable before the physical event, and be transparent about that. Don't be weird. You seem cool. I want to meet you. My mother hates when I use the word cool. I'm sorry. They'll think. Be open about. I want to make my network stronger. I want to meet you, and I know we're going to be together soon. Would you mind connecting with me online? 9 out of 10 people are absolutely going to take you up on that. Tweet. This may be passé, except for some people. But when I attended events and others were live tweeting at the event, this shows you about how long ago this was, I would too. I just pulled up my laptop next to them and I made friends, because I realized they were doing the same thing. Introverts love to have a role at the party, right? Tell me I'm by the bar, or I'm serving hors d'oeuvres, or I'm collecting names, or I'm speaking, and I feel much safer. If I don't have a role in the event, why am I here? Oh, I have to make new friends. I gotta walk up to a group of strangers. That is not fun for me. So when I saw that people had created a role for themselves to be the sort of the editorial team tweeting during a conference, and what I mean by that is if you're at a conference and you're hearing a speaker and you hear them say some cool stuff, there it is again, jot it down, grab an image, hashtag, tag that person, say I really enjoyed your presentation, here's what I liked about it. That positions you as someone they remember. So when you go to that cocktail party later in the evening after these sessions, you've already had some virtual conversation, and they say, "Oh, you were tweeting about my stuff during my presentation. That means so much to me. Thank you." Right? Do your homework. Read about the industry before you go in. Learn about trends. Have something to discuss. Find a wing person. Now, I used to smoke. It's a terrible habit. I don't do it anymore. I don't. But it was a great way to meet other people who don't want to be at the party. So you're hiding by the plant going, smoking a cigarette. And through that process, I made friends who felt as I did. And we would kind of make a little pact. Amber Bowman, remember this? Sue Clark, Reiko, no. I would say, hey, you make some friends, and I'm gonna make some friends. And then later, let's get together. And I'll introduce you to my friends, and you introduce me to your friends, and we'll seem really cool. Like we are working the room. And it helped. And it helped just having someone else who felt as uncomfortable as I did. And then after the event, this is probably the most important step of all. Rinse and repeat. Take those business cards. Sarah, I've already lost yours. I'm sorry, it's somewhere over there. Take those business cards. Find the contact on LinkedIn and Twitter if you're not already connected with them, or Facebook. And I don't subscribe to this false, I'm sorry, we can get into a debate about this, the personal versus the professional. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but it makes me crazy when it's like, Facebook is for my personal, and LinkedIn is for my professional, and I keep them separate. This world doesn't work that way anymore. The lines are blurred. Facebook has made it that way. Facebook sees LinkedIn doing something, and they're like, yeah, we'll do that. Oh, Instagram, we'll do that. So know that you can do things within the Facebook environment to make things more private than other things. For certain audiences, I don't bother, but you can do that. But connect where people are. It's the equivalent of saying, well, I sell watches, but I'm only going to sell them at this mall, even though there are a lot of other people at that mall, because this mall is professional and that mall is personal. But there's a lot of people there. Why don't I want that exposure? So I'm sorry for the digression. That makes me nuts. So after the event, take those business cards, find people online, and reach out to them if you haven't already, and with a note saying, I really enjoyed the conversation where we talked about X. Remember that tip when you go on a job interview or meet somebody you're trying to do some business development with, and they say, find something from the conversation and remind that person in the note or the email about it. Maybe you both collect trains or stamps, or you're in theater. Make a note of that. Boy, it was so great to find someone else who has a background in theater. They'll remember you. And then, don't just have that network lie fallow. Post, share. Look at what that person is doing online. If they write an article and you like it, don't just do it because you're pandering to them, but share it, comment on it, quote from it, Say, I appreciate what you did. That was how we started this conversation, right? Acknowledge, share, be kind to others. After you've met them in person, they will remember you. They will value you. Now here's the wildest thing of all. When I'm in a group of introverts, the opposite thing happens for me. I'm actually recharged. I gotta figure that one out. But I think it's because there's a lot of listening. There are quiet spaces. There is no judgment. But we can't exist in an echo chamber, right? We need each other to learn and grow. And my toughest kind of work experience have been when I've been with a super extrovert. It's hard for me. I want to just bake the cake and come in and go, look what I did, give me praise, see you later. And an extrovert wants to talk about it and brainstorm and think some more and, well, wait a minute, let's give this some more thought. And I'm like, nope, it was a deadline, it's done, I'm ready to go, I'm on to the next thing. So it's good for me to have that in my life because I then would just exist in a silo otherwise. Brenda, how are we on time? I had a little discussion element, but I'm probably way over, right?
No, we're maybe wrapping up in the next 2 minutes.
Okay. I only have 2 pages left. I guess, very quickly, does any of this, I see some nodding, does this resonate with people?
Yes.
Anyone have one issue that you want to throw out to the group that maybe you continue to struggle with in this regard, either in your job or your role or your life? Anyone want to share? Yeah, Brenda.
So I'll just say you walk into a networking group and everybody seems to be paired off and talking to each other.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I go in the bathroom and hide. I actually have done that. I did that once. You go into an event and you just see everybody already seems to have a friend. They're already paired up with people. Yes and no. I do this really weird thing. And I think it's real smooth. I'm sure it's not. I kind of look at my phone every once in a while like, oh, I just got a very important message. I'm responding to my message, and it's like I'm reading Yahoo News, and I'm like, oh, yes, I'd like this canapé. And I'm like, I don't need anybody. And then I kind of and if I hear a snippet of a conversation that has some, oh, hi, I forget that's it. It has some kind of grounding for me. I may insinuate myself, and I go, and if you're especially if you're at a conference, there might be some shared experiences. Someone might be talking about a session you're in. I have to find, I'm not a rock climber, but I have to find that first little hook. And once I hear it, and sometimes it's something weird, like, boy, I like your shoes. And I don't just do that to do that. It's authentic. I wait. If I really like somebody's shoes, like your shoes are nice, but I'm gonna think those are shoes. I mean, my God. So I would go. They're lovely shoes. Don't get me wrong. I was looking for a moment, and I'm like, I get it. Your glasses are cute though. But you go, hey, how can I connect with this person? Not in a creepy way, but just to say, hey, I see you. You exist. And 9 times out of 10, the person responds to that. I will also say my goofy as hell personality generally works well for me when I let it loose to a degree. That, people are like, okay, I want to meet this nutball who's in the room. So that helps me in that circumstance. Anything else real quick? I think I have 10 seconds left. But
Question.
Yeah.
How can an extrovert deal with an introvert or work with an introvert?
Okay, can I pick on you for a minute?
Of course.
Please never ask the question that way. For an introvert, and you seem like you're an extrovert. You're like, yeah, I can take it. I'm sorry, but she's like, I hate you. That question phrased that way, how can I deal with you, right? Makes it sound like there's something wrong with me, like I've got a carbuncle growing out of my forehead.
I know it's my problem because I'm very...
No, it's not, but it's not a problem, I guess is my point. Not a problem at all. It's just, how would you learn to collaborate and work with somebody from Sweden you never knew about? You'd ask them, talk to them, find out. Because and this is what makes me crazy when we talk about millennials, introverts, and I do it all the time. My mother, I keep bringing her up. She's like, if you say something about baby boomers one more time, I'll smack you. We cannot assume an entire group of people all think and feel the same way. There are trends, there are themes that help us be sensitive, right? But more often than not, it's opening up the conversation and say, you know what? I observed that when I did this, it seemed to trouble you or cause some challenge, or it felt like we weren't connected. That's a great way. What happened there? And let them talk for a minute, because an introvert wants to talk. They just need an opening. So I guess that's my tip for you. Thanks for letting me pick on you for a minute. Whatever the difference is, it's about finding the way to bridge that and benefit from it. Because I, as an introvert, want to learn to work with you as well. And I want you to know that I need space to think and breathe and process. Let me have that time. If I seem grouchy, it's not that I don't love you. I have spent way too much time with people, and maybe you in particular. I just need time away. And I have gotten to the point where I say that to people, and if they know this about me, I've reclaimed that space, and I go, oh, I'm a little cranky. Can I have 10 minutes? Right? Kate does it to me. So Kate sometimes it's just a look like, and I'm like, oh, yep, okay, got it. I'm out. So it's just you find that love language for each other. I guess is what I would recommend. Good question. Yeah. I'm sorry, Brenda. They love me. They're asking questions.
Okay, we can keep,
They're slowly peeling off, like.
And they are a little bit, and
Yeah.
I want to be respectful of people who
Yeah.
maybe want to network a little bit too. So
Yeah.
we just do
We'll
one
wrap it
final
up.
question, and
You
then
got
we'll
it.
go
You got
back.
it. Yes, please.
Be assertive. Being assertive can also be part of being introvert or part of being actually. I like to be assertive, but I don't think I like to talk.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a technique, right, to be assertive, to kind of go up to somebody and go, hey. It comes with some risk, because if you aren't someone who receives that well, and there are sort of cultural norms of that nature as well, right? Americans, and I'm using a broad brush term, I feel, especially Midwesterners, when someone's too assertive with me, I'm always like, what do you want? Why are you here? So it doesn't always work. I think finding a way to be assertive that allows that other person to have their space is great. I think then they see it as confidence. And then it's a matter of, hey, I own my space, I'm excited about who I am and what I do. I think that's a great place to be. And I would love to be more of that myself. I tend to, sorry-free zone? Oh, I need that. I'm always apologizing when I don't need to. I'm always going, I don't mean to, or really, if it's not too much trouble, could it? And I hate myself for doing that. I do. But I feel like I'm encroaching on people's time when and a law firm environment is really difficult in that regard, because the lawyers that's a billable hour. You got to remember the lens by which people were educated and how they're compensated. And if they're not playing well with you, chances are it's not that they don't like you. You just don't fit in with how they're using their time currently. And that tends to engender in me a greater apologetic kind of quality that I don't like. Where I'm like, I know you're terribly busy, lawyer person, but if you have 30 seconds, can I please talk to you about this? And it's really important to me. And I hate that I have to go in there and do that way. And I don't want to keep doing that. I got to figure that out. I don't have an answer for that question. But thank you. Good point. All right. So, in sum, find the recipe that works for you. Take time for yourself and recharge. Find the hook that helps you break the ice in advance. Build your network slowly, purposefully. Leverage social media to be the glue between face-to-face interactions. Don't skip face-to-face interactions. Make sure while you're growing that network, it's still important, you got to get together with people. You can't avoid that. And then share, reciprocate, celebrate. Thank you.